Hello beautiful people, today we'll be going over a TTRPG that I've been playing for most of this past month while I've been gone, and it's part of while I've been back in the few days that I have been back, and it's called Gourmet Street. It's a cute little zine where you can go on food adventures in a town, and there's factions and so on and so forth. We'll be getting into that today, and you'll be seeing how I chose to play with it. Specifically, you will see that I've really been getting into pop-ups lately alongside my crazy zine fair that I've been having a kick on. Specifically, I really liked this pop-up that I found on Pinterest. It was printed in the New York Times, but it's perfect for what I wanted it to be, and you're going to see how I'm using it. That means that this video, I did split up into two different parts. One is just the introduction of the game and a little bit of the behind the scenes of how I made the pop-ups, and a little bit of how I played the game, while the next video that I'll be putting out alongside this one is how I played the game and how it looks using these pop-ups and just the story that goes along with it. I'm doing a more storytelling version of playing this, so it's just taken a little bit longer to put everything together in the way that I want to tell this story and have fun with it. Overall, this game was a quick game to play, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I hope you find and have fun with this too. So if you haven't already, go ahead and grab your cup of tea. Today, I don't have a cup of tea. I actually have a smoothie that I'm drinking that I made, and because it's a little hot here. And let's get to this. Today, we are looking over Gourmet Street, a fantasy food adventure. Gourmet Street was created by John Gregory and Charles Ferguson Avery. Their page is called The Unlawful Neutral. It is a name your own price little zine, and it comes with a whole bunch of stuff that we'll be going over today. I really enjoyed this one, and let's get into it. The thing that I enjoy about this is that it gives you a good list of the things that inspired it and a foreword about the artist, introducing the one who did a lot of the drawings for this. This zine is made to be compatible with a whole bunch of systems, including the basics, Expert Essentials, Knave, Eccentric Enterprises, Black Hack, ECC, Torika, ADD, and the 5E system. Essentially, Gourmet Street is, think of any big city, big food vendor place where there's a large line of different foods and restaurants all competing for your interest. The scents are all in your face, and you're pulled this way and that, not sure which place to stop in at because they all sound so interesting. It comes with a roll table, so you can not only choose the establishment that the food is being sold at, you also get to choose the different specials that is on the menu, the different beverages, and the different condiments that come with each of the different restaurants. I really love this table. It's a very, standard D100 table for you to choose a bunch of these things, and it allows you to have over 300 different combinations, 3,000 different combinations of things. And it's fun to think of how these all work together and play together in the world that you are creating. The book does come with a brief description of the different streets and different smells and dishes, things that you might see, as well as this nice artwork. It's fun to see this all come together. And then what street, what place is complete without having some warring factions. So there are 4 food factions in Gourmet Street. You have the Neo-Gastro Alchemists, the Classics, the Vinegar Knights or Pickleheads, and then the Brewer's Blue. Each faction has its own series of goals and wants and needs. For example, the Neo-Gastro Alchemists like strange, new, and dangerous flavors. They like to push the limits of what can be created with exotic ingredients and techniques to help establish and replace the classics. So they're in the war with each other. And then the classics are people who were the original ones that like sausage on a bun, potato on a stick, assorted noodles, those kind of hole-in-the-wall places that you would expect to find in big cities, or those street carts that a local will tell you is the best to go to. And then for the vinegar heads, the pickle heads, these are the people who love pickling. These are anything and everything must be pickled. I even really like the artwork that they have here for them. These are the ones that have the different fermented processing, and in this case they're a little bit of a more like strangely militant and a little bit more secretive, and I think that is really fun in this series. And then you have the Brewers Blues. These are those bars, those hole-in-the-wall drinking establishment, those ones that think food is secondary to whatever you are washing it down with. Of course, it could be alcohol, but it could be sodas, it could be teas, it could be specialty juices, those kind of things. And each of them have their own bonuses and banes if you get on the wrong side of them. All of them are warring with each other to various degrees, but these two factions and these two factions really, really butt heads. I even love that you get the different little symbols for each of the faction, and each faction runs a different way with various head chefs. Like there's a singular head chef for this one, while there are multiple head chefs for this. As a head chef as well, but they run more a little like a military or a knight system, while this one runs more like a tribal system. And that's fun. I love that it is a culture built into the street. And then what adventure is complete without some original creatures and original items that you get to work with? So your food creatures here, of course, you have something that is called gloop. It is very similar to any kind of blob or ooze or slime. And they have different kind of taste things that they accumulate depending on what you feed them. And they're just kind of a staple that is a part of the gourmet street culture. And then you have froth goblins and wolf yeasts. Each of these creatures help with like the fermentation process, and can just be various creatures that you find on the street and run into, or they're like pets that the different factions have to help them create things, along with the goop. I think it's very fun. They have, this one has 0 hit dice, so whatever you roll, they have a low hit points, and then this one has 2 hit dice. They're a little bit stronger. Then, of course, you have something that could be considered like boss creatures. Pinhound and the Prince of Cucumber Sandwiches, them have their own like bonuses and history and lore that is just fun to work into your story if you want it to be a big battle. But Zine is complete without having some items that you can work with. Like you have the Rot Rock Walk. Try saying that 5 times fast. Which is essentially a giant pan that can not only be used as a weapon, but it can create tons and tons of food. This is something that like a head chef would have, or something that the factions are all looking for to have be the greatest in the world. If you want this like just a little quick adventure, of course you can create your different cookbooks. You have a hat of pickle devouring and the ultimate cookbook of how to cook everything, literally. Finally, you have the adventure here to play through, and it is a very good quick adventure running in a more Romeo and Juliet style gameplay where you roll 2 lovers, potentially 3 if you get 10, who are trying to escape from Gourmet Street and go and open up their own fusion restaurant in another town, another place, because they are madly in love and want to create something amazing. The board is set up a little bit like a Chutes and Ladders board, where you have the players roll a d3 or a d4, in my case, and move them forward. And then on round 2, the pursuers, the family that is chasing after the star-crossed lovers, they show up and begin chasing after you and your group. How you bump into these lovers is up to you, and I will show you my adventure and how I build my adventure very soon. Each tile that you land on, you roll a d20 to see what you run into. For a 1 through 4, your party is exhausted or very hungry, and so you have to stop at one of the food stands. I love that as an option because then it gives you a chance to use the roll table here to see what place that you stop at and build a nice little restaurant from where you're going. And like I said, this is a Chutes and Ladders style chase scene. So if you land on a space that has an arrow down, that means you go down, and either you might end up closer to your pursuers, or if you land on a space like this one, you move up and you move faster through the adventure. It makes for quick gameplay. I would love to see maps made like this a little bit more, and I will probably take this idea forward into other solo adventure games that I will be playing. Now, because I play solo adventure games, this is has enough roll tables to work with to play on my own. There are other adventures that haven't been as great as that. Let's get into how I've decided to play this game. For Gourmet Street, I did pre-roll part of the adventure. That way I could see how it plays out for myself and also just have some fun exploring some of the things that the book has to offer. And I will be running the full story in another video. For now, we'll just go over what I have. As for the characters that I created, I got a little carried away and decided to not only roll up who they were, but draw up who they were as well. And I had a lot of fun with the character creation and building up the potential story, which is another reason why I chose to roll up the adventure first. So in round 1, I ended up rolling a 4, so they were exhausted and hungry. Ended up stopping at a shop and getting the special. One of the star-crossed lovers is Anne's Ozu, which Ozu is a type of alcohol beverage, and the beverage sold at this fish and chips stand that I ended up rolling up Ozu, and that will be a fun story. I decided to create pop-ups for this adventure, and we'll be doing some little puppet work for the story. So here is what the fish and chips place looks like. The name ended up being really funny. It's called the 8 Fries of the Beholder rather than 8 Eyes of the Beholder. That just made me laugh. The random encounter that they do have is that they run into an old flame set to help them escape their family. The next round is an unattended food stall with a horse is connected, and it allows them to move several spaces forward. Moved 4 spaces, so 1, 2, 3, 4. That's where we stopped at the food place. The second one, we space forward, and then another 2 spaces for the boon, which caused us to end up back here, while our pursuers only rolled a 2. Right there, as far as like our traveling and the different events that happen. Our characters move forward, and a food fight happens in the middle of the gallery, while our pursuers move forward one step. So they are very close behind. In the next part, we rolled a 4 and a 12, which means that it became an obstacle where one of the head chefs comes out, and I thought it would be fun to have the head chef challenge one of the lovers to a food fight, sort of like Food Wars. He had to prove himself to be able to get past the head chef, whether they end up fighting or not. Either way, they end up moving forward. We are going to see how that plays out. That's something that will be role-playing out in the video that I create using these pop-up stands. It only took me about 9 rounds to get to the end of the game for the pre-rolling, not including the battles that will be happening here, so the rounds might extend a little bit, but in general that's what we have, and then they were able to successfully escape. So overall, the gameplay and the playthrough of this is really easy and really fun. I hope I was able to kind of illustrate that a little bit for you here. Let's meet our characters that we will be interacting with on this solo adventure. First, we have our star-crossed lovers, which is Anzi Ozu and Claw Poby. I really like the dynamic of a really skinny guy and a really beefy woman. Especially for Anzi Ozu, one of her character traits is that she is a drunken boxer, and I thought it would be really great that she is just this wonderful, energetic, like really beefy woman, and then the guy that she's running away with is just this really skinny, kind of shy, cheesy dude, because his character trait is that he is very cheesy. Initially, I was going to have her be this kind of tsundere character, but as I was drawing her out, even though I love her hair and I love how this was drawn up, it didn't quite fit the dynamic that I was going for. And it just didn't fit the vibe that I was feeling, especially since I wanted this to be just a little bit more playful in between these two Romeo and Juliet characters. Which, honestly, the roles are reversed when this Anzi Ozu is the Romeo, while Claw Poby is the Juliet. So I figured this could be more like a sister character that they run into in the story, rather than them being the main characters that they play with. Next up, we have one of the head chefs. When I was originally creating this story and rolling up the different establishments that they would be running into, one of the establishments is called Everything But the Teeth, and the food that I ended up rolling up that they share is the skewered neck of a camel leopard that is on a spit roast. And that just sounded like one of those pit masters that you see that are like really, really good at barbecue. And it kind of reminded me of a lot of the barbecue that's done here in the South, where you have these like big beefy men sweating over a grill. And so I kind of wanted a Mr. T-like character to be here for being one of the head chefs. He's part of the classics fashion, and I thought it would be great to have him be the one challenging our poor little shy cheesy guy to the food battle that they will ensue. Next up, we have the lost love interest, or we have the former love interest. This is a fun character. She is part of the she's part of the neo-alchemists. And at first I wasn't sure who she was going to be the former love interest of, but I finally decided and settled on Anzi Ozu being the one that they were formerly together, because since she's part of the neo-alchemists, it would be very weird for them to for our little classic Claw Poby to be with her, especially since I thought I would make her into a pastry chef mage, where she creates all of these really cute, fluffy desserts to play with. And I designed her a little bit more after a bird, because I just loved the idea of her having this really stand-up-ish hair and being this really like flamboyant character. Next up, because there is a food fight, I had to include two of the factions' different characters that will be warring against each other. Our first is Grandma Stuffums. If you have ever watched Codename Kids Next Door, you might remember Grandma Stuffums being one of the main villains that you run into. This is a food fight, and anytime I can bring in just the hilarity of Grandma Stuffums into a story, I will. I did at one point actually draw Slamwich. Let me find that for you. Here's Slamwich. Although he doesn't appear in this adventure, though I might have him appear in this adventure now that I've brought him up, and I've brought Grandma Stuffums up. That is from one of my favorite episodes of Codenames Kids Next Door, because it just has a rocking soundtrack to it, which is a big surprise. So had to include her in this food fight. And then you also have, from the opposing side, from the brewers, since Grandma Stuffums is a classic, you have somebody from the opposing side who is a part of the brewer blue, and I thought it would be great if he had a yeast hound. And he's honestly there to defend the honor of his niece. Next up, we have yet another guildmaster, but this time instead of being an opposing force, he's going to be an asset. I pulled this one from the zine itself. See him depicted here. I just took him and drew him in my own style, including the little funky laugh that you see on the Brewer's Blue icon. I just enjoy the idea of this kind of character stepping in and being like, sure, I'll help you. Also had to include the glob or slime or cleanup crew that helps them end up saving the day in the end for this story. For this game, instead of using the Dungeons and Dragons 5e system, I will be using the variation called Dungeon Hero. This is a simplified version of that, which allows you to be able to play through a solo game a lot faster, and it bases the character's traits using a d12, a d10, a d8, and a d6. Each of these traits can be something that can help with the adventure, such as a racial trait for being like an elf or a barbarian, a capability trait, which is like stealth or wizardry, and then equipment, which is chainmail or an axe or a rope, something that you think would be helpful in the adventure that you're going through, or in the case of this story, it's going to be like knowledge that the character has. An easy example of this is when I rolled up the Star-Crossed Lovers. They each come with their own special trait that will help them. So for Claus Poby, who's the classic, he has a few favors that he can call in, and that can be one of the things that you can use to help roll for him. Each character has starts with a stamina of 15 and a resolve of 30, which you lay out in a easy to understand character trait sheet here. Treasure is just stuff that they collect along the way, and you can write in the different traits and things, like how Anzi Ozu has the trait Drunken Boxer. So I would probably put that in either a D10 slot, or if I really wanted to use that to her advantage, it's going to be a D12 slot. How this works is that it is a 4-dice system. So your character will have 4 dice, which I will be using my sparkly purple sharp dice for my heroes, and for any opposing forces, I will be using the red matte dice that I have here. And you have to use the 2 dice to roll higher than your opposing force. So if I were to roll this, I would have to be a 3 and a 3, plus any bonuses that they might have. And I would roll here and a 7 and a 1, which is an 8, which is higher than the 6 of the opposing force. Let's write up the different characters and their different stat blocks to make it easy to go through and fight and run this game. Alrighty, so I've written up all of the character traits. I chose to go with having all of the traits written down except for Claus Poby. I marked off one of the dice that I could roll for him. And then I have my player dice here. I ended up going through, since I was using the Dungeon Hero system, I ended up going through and writing out all of the other characters' stats and everything. So we have like Grandma Stuffums, who has a wooden spoon and tongue lashing. Big Zarar, he has barrel roll and lift. And then the old flame, the former love interest, has cutify and dazzle for distractions. And then I did decide to include Slam Witch, since they do encounter a mega gloop. And I think having these two kind of duke it out as part of the fun of the story was a really good and fun thing to do. I also have both of the head chef's stuff written down. So we have, for the one head chef that runs the barbecue place, he is a grill master, and one of his skills is braise and cut. I still am trying to think of more ideas for the brewmaster, but that's okay. So far, this all looks pretty good, because I even put my character traits in here for me, the player, who is going to be kind of piloting everything here. I have Entangle, Athletics, Short Sword, Leather Armor, Medicine, Rope, Survival, and Cloud. All of these are different fun things that I think would be useful throughout the adventure. Now that we have the characters made up, and you can see sort of how I have it written out of what the gameplay is going to look like, I'll run it through in the next video so that you can see it much better. Let's go ahead and get into the building of the last sort of eatery place that they will be. I think it's supposed to be a bar, so let's get into building that bar. Since we know that the place is already run by Sternum Wheatbeard, we just need to come up with the stall name, the quality of the food, and the customers, as well as what their top beverage is and what their top, I would say condiment, but it might just be like their top special. They're not going to have a condiment in it. So it might just be just a little something that is on the side to have as like little small pickings, like spam rolls or something. But with our D20, let's roll the stall name. If it's already a stall name that I have, we will just re-roll again. All right, we have We got number 19, which says it's Wheelbarrels Meat. That's a fun name. I think I'm going to change the meat part to mead, like the drink, rather than meat. So it's going to be Wheelbarrow O Meat, or Wheelbarrow O Mead. Next, let's roll for the quality. That is a 14, so pretty good. And that is going to be it's called surprisingly edible. That doesn't sound super encouraging. And then last but not least, frequent customers is going to be a 15, and it's students. Now with our D100, let's see what beverage that they have. That is a 16, and the beverage is bottled water. Now, I don't like that. We're gonna try something different. All right, 73 is prairie oyster. Huh, I wonder what that is. And then for the side dish, the little pick 'em ups, let's see what we get. We have 85. That makes sense. Shredded pork cheek. Now let's find out what prairie oyster is. Apparently, a prairie oyster is a drink containing a raw egg, malt vinegar, Worcestershire sauce, horseradish, salt, and pepper. Read a little bit more history on what a prairie oyster is, and essentially it was thought of as sort of like a hangover cure, but not really. So I guess that makes sense for students who've been on benders and need to have a quick pick-me-up, and that's why it's the special at this particular bar.
For the design of this bar with a name like Wheelbarrow O Mead, I thought it would be good that it would represent a lot of those like old bars that you see with a whole bunch of things on the walls, and it's just kind of dark and a little dingy, but it's a popular place because it not only serves the locals, but they run a lot of different activities. And since this place appeals to college students, it has a sign for a hangover cure that people come back for in the morning, or if they stay up late, they grab it on their way to go. I always love those old bars. It's very reminiscent of places that I used to visit as a kid, that sometimes my family would have me be entertained by something while they are meeting up with their friends. And there we have it. This is what the other standees look like as they are nicely put together. I'm very proud of how they look. This is my first time doing a pop-up store stand like this, and I look forward to doing the stop motion, the puppetry, and the paper animation with this. This has given me many ideas of how I can do things going forward in creating TTRPGs.
Thanks for joining me as I go over this zine, and I really enjoyed how this was laid out and how fun the ideas were in this. It makes me want to check out some of the other zines and TTRPG zines that people have made of this. I will keep you posted on if I do go forward with that, and if not, I hope you check this out yourself and have some fun, and I can't wait to show you how the story plays out in the next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will catch you soon.